What about now? Precious, can you confirm you can hear me? Belasto. From the beginning. Okay, awesome. Awesome. So I'm just going to start over. Oh my God. I was muted at some point and I think, okay. Please hold on. Okay, I guess we have to start all over. It's fine, it happens. I guess I picked the wrong mic. Hi everyone, welcome to the Elegance Media free masterclass. And just like I said before, I'll try to recap everything I said in the very beginning. Thank you so much for joining the session. So I think in the very beginning, I said something about like more folks see joining us. I'm really hoping that more folks join us. And I also acknowledge the fact that some folks are just closing from work because of this time of the day. I myself just closed from work. So that's why we're having this session at this time. So I also imagine that some other folks are just closing from work as well. I understand that, and that is why this session is going to be recorded, but it's only going to be shared. Only going to be available for folks that are part of our community. But for now, we actually decided to make it open for everyone because we understand some folks are still working, some folks are just closing work as well. So thank you so much for joining. Hoping that more folks join afterwards as well. So let's go into it. Thank you so much. Omotola E is Omotayo, and I'm the founder of Elegance Media. Outside of Elegance Media, I work. Okay, so outside of Elegance Media, I work as a community builder, as a project manager. And just like I mentioned, I am very passionate about tech empowerment. And that is why I'm having sessions like this. And I'm very passionate about tech empowerment and social impact. So as I've mentioned, that at the end of this session, you're going to be getting a lot of things. We've had folks reach out to us, saying they have submitted a lot of applications, like 100 plus applications, and they've not gotten back from any of these jobs they've applied to. And I've also mentioned that some folks have gotten to the first stage of interview, they've done the first interview, they've done the second interview, and all is either you didn't hear back from them at all, that's from the interviewers, the hiring managers at all, or you probably heard back from them and it is unfortunately we've gone with another candidate. This is very sad. And you also agree with me that in this ecosystem that we have now, you agree with me that there are tools that you can use to even submit your application that is going to tailor everything in your CV to apply for a job that you are most qualified for. That is to show you that you are not like hiring managers are getting thousands of applications. So for them to call you for interview, it's because they've seen something, which I'm going to be talking about. It's because they've seen something that you have that they actually feel it can solve the problem they're trying to hire for. And that is why this session is focused on aside you submitting your application, if you got request to attend like an interview, how can you best position yourself for during that interview? How can you be sure that you're entering that interview space with so much confidence? You know how to to turn the conversation, you know how to turn your interview to conversation, and it's not going to be as if you are negotiating. So at the end of this session, you're going to learn all those tricks. I'm going to be sharing all those tricks with you. So I wanted to ask, I don't know how many persons we have. So if I want to know if your case is, oh, you have applied for a lot of jobs and you have not gotten any response back, can you drop A? So I'm going to give you category A. So if your case is, no, I've applied for a lot of jobs, I've been called for interview, but I've not landed, I've not been hired yet, you can go for B. You can go for B. So you can drop A or B in the chat to represent yourself. So I want to know the categories of people that we have, so that when I'm doing when the explanation is going on, we can better so when the explanation is going on, I can better reference you, so that I can better answer the questions that you have. So if your case is, I've sent out 100 applications, I've not gotten any feedback yet, not even an interview, please drop A in the chat. And if it's your own is, oh, unfortunately we've moved on with another candidate, please drop B in the chat as well. Okay, so if you also feel like you've been doing anything right, you are still not getting the job, you are just tired, I can relate to, that feeling. So please also drop it in the chat as well. So moving on, and I also want to mention before we move on that you're not alone. Trust me, you're not alone. And the fact that you're not getting either that yes, that is you being hired yet, or you're not getting that interview, call yet, doesn't mean you're not doing it right. And at the end of this session as well, you are going to realize that, okay, these are the things you are probably not doing well, that you're supposed to take note of, that you're supposed to do very well when you get to your next interview. Or you're also going to know that, okay, these are the things I could do better. You understand? So let us move on. If you cannot hear me at any point again, please let me know in the chat as well. Okay, so Precious mentioned that she has been called for interview, but she has not landed the job. I can relate, no problem. Okay, so there are some things I know I've mentioned earlier. I'm still going to be repeating it just to reaffirm it to you. So there are some things you should know before you go for that interview. You are not, this is something I love to like tell anybody that attends some of our sessions, our interview simulation and feedback session, that you should have that confidence. You should know in your mind that you're not the only one that submitted job application for that particular job. Sometimes when we hire for like our clients or something, or when we hire for like people on our team, we got, for one single application, we get like over 1,000. For one single role, we get like over 1,000 applications. So you can imagine how many persons are as qualified as you, right? So it is very important that for you to know, to have that affirmation in yourself, that for you to be called for this interview, you already have what it takes. You know that feeling of, okay, so that means you have seen something that interests you, that's why you are calling me. So because of that alone, your confidence should be boosted, that okay, that means out of everybody that submitted, there is something that sparked these hiring managers, that sparked the feeling, that make them feel like, okay, I can do this job. So your interview is, and you already have all the answer, just like I said on this slide. So your interview is the space for you to reaffirm to the hiring manager that yes, that thing that you saw, what you saw on my CV or in my application, that makes you think I can do the job, yes, that thing is true. So that interview space is the space for you to actually show up and show up, to just convince the interviewer. They've seen it. I used to tell people whenever I have sessions like this that, in fact, before I can speak to you as the hiring manager, I have seen your work, I have gone through your CV, I've gone through your portfolio, all the application that you submitted, I have gone through it. So for you to meet with the hiring manager, even from the very first stage, just know that you have something. And everything they're about to ask you is just like, okay, we want to confirm this is the role you are looking for. We want to confirm you have these skills. We want to confirm you have used this tool. How have you used it? Those are the things that they want to like just affirm from you. So you should understand that you already have what it takes to get the job. You already have all the answers, because if you don't have all the answers in terms of the skills, if you don't have all the answers in terms of the tools they want you to start using, if you don't have the answers in terms of, okay, I need this job, I want to work on this team, if you don't have the answer, they will not call you. That means your application is not interesting. And just like I mentioned, there are a lot of tools nowadays that you can use to submit your applications. But at the same time, you should know that even though everybody is using that tool, something is different with you, and that is why they have invited you and maybe some other folks, because you might not be the only one they are inviting for interview. In fact, you're not the only one. So you already have what it takes to walk into that room confidently. So you should chin up. Something like, I have what it takes. So you should chin up and be like, okay, this is the time for me to actually affirm what you have seen to you. So you chin up, you go boldly, you go in boldly, and with the mindset that you already have all the answers. I know this is a bit tricky, but mindset is also one thing. Not you being shaken. And I've interviewed some people that during the first 5 minutes, you can perceive that they are probably scared, afraid, or the confidence is not just there. So these three things are what you should know to prepare yourself to enter that interview room with so much confidence. The first one is that you already have what it takes to get the job, and that is why out of all the applications they received, they picked you. Number two, because of everything they've seen in your application or in your CV or your portfolio or probably on your digital presence, you already have all the questions, you have answers to the questions that they're going to ask you. So it's just for you to know how to formulate it, which I'm going to be going into very well. But there is no question they want to ask you that you don't know. Trust me, even if they ask you the one you don't know, you already have the answer to formulate the one they need, which we are going to be going into during the course of this session. So the first and most important thing is for you to build that confidence before you enter that interview room. So go through all these steps that I've mentioned. Affirm to yourself that yes, I'm not the only one that submitted this application. I have what it takes. That's why I'm going for this interview. That is why they've called me to be part of this interview. And I have all the answers to all the questions they are going to ask. But it's for me to be very intentional about the way I craft it, which we are going to learn. And so you enter that interview room with so much confidence. So if it's an online interview, there is online interview and there is also physical interview. Please, if it's a physical interview, either physical or online, this is together, please dress the parts. Look good, make sure you have good. If it is an online, let's pick online first. So if it's an online interview, please try to enter the interview few minutes before the interviewer. Yes, I know some interview room will not be open, but it should be something that once the host click on start the meeting, you are going to be in the waiting room, not the one that the interviewers will be waiting for you before you enter the interview. Please don't do that, because first impression matters. And also, if eventually you, maybe for one reason or the other, that you cannot, something happened and it's not your fault, please try to acknowledge the fact that you are late, apologize for it, and move on. Like continue the conversation, wherever the case may be. Then if it's an online interview, please make sure you don't hold your phone or if you cannot join with a laptop, you should join with a laptop. But if you cannot join with your laptop, make sure, and you want to join with your phone, make sure that you are not holding your phone in your hand and your head is moving like this. When your phone hands move, make sure it is in a steady place. And if it's a physical interview, remember we mentioned chin up before I go on to the most other important part of this session. If it's a physical interview, please dress the part as well. The way they see you is the way you are also acknowledged. So dress the part, look good to the best of your ability. And just like the picture you can see on my slide, make sure your hands are on the decks, so that it can show that you are ready and you are confident. Okay, so let's move on. So there was one question I asked before some folks joined us. I said, if your case now is, if you have any question, you can drop it in the chat. I'm going to pause between like all these sessions to like see if I have questions in the chat and attend to those. I also have the segments in this masterclass that I'm going to be answering some questions that we've received in the past as well. So just like I mentioned earlier, some candidates, after applying for the job and they applied very well and they've been called, there are some very important things that there are some very simple but important things that they do that make them to fail interviews. I've mentioned that I like to like reference some of the interviews I've done even for persons, and the first 5 15, 20, depending on the total number of minutes that or hours that you are spending in the interview. But the first 10% of time of the interview period determines your interview. Say for it is a 30 minutes interview, the first 5 minutes determines the success of your interview. And the first 10 minutes or the first 30 minutes also determine the success of your interview. So if you don't position yourself very well, they ask you to talk about something, then you're stating your tasks. I was given this thing to do, I was given this to do. It makes your answers very weak. Yes, I'm going to be explaining how you can, structure your answers to make it more strong. But if you are just stating, oh, I was given this task to do, I was given this task to do, no, that's not how to ask the question. Instead, you're supposed to state your impact. So if you did not position yourself very well during your interview, the interview is already a failure. Then, regardless of how we are in the world of storytelling, regardless of your career path, regardless of your role, you should be able to answer like you should be able to give your answers in a very strategic way, in a way that resonates with you, and the person that is interviewing you that is not even there when you were making this impact can relate to. Let them in, let them feel as if they were there when you were making those impacts. That is storytelling. If you're not able to like intentionally frame your answer in this way, then your interview is already somehow. So the confidence gap as well is another thing. Some people have done it, they have made the impact, they know how to tell their story, but maybe just like I mentioned when we started, they did not chin up, or they were scared, or they have this voice that is trembling and all those things. So it shows that you are struggling to like communicate the kind of value you bring. So those three things I've mentioned, they are silent killer of any interview. And trust me, hiring managers can, even sitting across the screen, even sitting across like in the room, if it's a physical interview, they can feel the energy. So it's not going to encourage conversation, because even you yourself that you're supposed to, I was telling someone one day, I said, if I ask you just one question, your response can determine if I'm going to ask you the rest of the questions I have written down for you. The way you respond to just that question, because you can turn just that one question into conversation, and while we are having that conversation, you've already answered all the other questions I'm looking for. So let us calm down. I'm going to be sharing more trick, but this is very important. Remember what I mentioned when we were just starting. They called you for interview. You should build that confidence before you go on, knowing that I'm going to be repeating some of those things because of folks that are joining us later. You can also watch this video afterwards. But the first thing is knowing that they called you for interview, you already have what it takes. Among the thousands of applications they received, they've called you, so you already have what it takes. So your interview is a place where you're supposed to like prove that, okay, you have it. So let's move on. This is actually very hard to say, but you should know it's also very important to talk about. Do you know that people that have the skills sometimes do not get the job? People that have all it takes sometimes do not get the job. Let me tell you a story. I've had the course to interview folks for the role of an executive assistant, and I met with some very intelligent, high impact folks. And when I got to the final stage of the interview, I had three folks left. And between the three folks, I'm supposed to choose just one. And there's one person that has all the skills, have all the tools, but the person do not have the confidence. So it seems like, yes, the person knows what needs to be done, but the person as well is So the person knows what should be done, but the person doesn't have like confidence in themselves. And this is somebody that is going to be representing like a senior person, representing the person in rooms when even the person is not around. So the confidence to show up for herself is not even there. So I did not actually have the courage, to move on with the person. And also another criteria that would be used during that period would be someone I can remember. There's a way you will remember how the interview actually went. So at that point, because I'm just stuck with three persons and I have to choose one, I have to use some factors. Then I have to remember how the interview went. What did this person did very well? And because it is very important for you to leave a mark, which I'm going to also be explaining very soon, you have to leave a mark during your interview. Something that it might be the question you asked, it might be the way you shared your impact, it might be the way you tell your story. So something that the hiring manager, even when you are not in that room, the hiring manager can say, oh, there was somebody that spoke that asked me this question. Oh, Omotola actually asked me, questions about what our pain point is right now. What are we trying to solve? What is our priority? There should be something that will make the hiring manager remember you. So at that point, if we are categorizing skills on a scale of 1 to 10, and I have person A, B actually have 9/10 of the skills required. Remember, person A, B has 9/10 of the skills required. But the only thing that sparked in my brain at that point that I need to choose one person was the question that Omotola asked me. Omotola is person C. The question that Omotola asked me at the end of the interview, like, oh, this person that can ask this question, that means this person is thinking about the future. That means this person is ready. That means this person has what it takes. And this number C person only has 7/10 of the skills. Most times, hiring manager goes for this set of people, probably because they have shown what they've done in the past, and now they can implement how they can turn what they've done in the past into what they can do. So this is also very, very, very important. So most skilled person sometimes, unfortunately, do not get the job. Hiring manager remember that person that sparked their interest, that conversation that they had, and not negotiation during the interview. So let's move on. There are some very important things that you should know, aside from the ones I've mentioned so far, of course. We already know, for those that are just joining us, it is very important for you, once you receive any email that, oh, you have been invited for an interview, please just know that you are the person for the job. Yes, I know it's a bit there's a bit tension. Oh my god, it's interview, how am I sure I'm going to move to the next stage? But you should also remember that for them to call you out of the thousands of applications they've gotten, it shows that you have what it takes. And just like I said, chin up, have the confidence that you have answers to all the questions they are going to ask you. Yes, now we are going to be talking about, I mentioned that you already have the answers, but it is also very important for you to frame your answers in a way that the interviewer actually wants to hear it. So it is not just the way you feel it's right. It is not just you talking about your tax, but it is you talking about the impact you have made through those tasks in a way that the interviewers want to hear it, in a way that will make the interviewers to acknowledge the fact that, yes, this person is who we are looking for. He or she or they has done it in the past, and they can take what they've learned, maybe lessons they've learned, the impact they've made, they can turn it into the solution we are looking for. So the next thing I'm going to explain now is the answers that I already told you had. Now, how can you frame those answers in a way that the interviewers is actually looking for? So the first thing you should remember, sometimes I used to use the word CAR, CAR, but I decided to use this for this session because most people probably have heard about the STAR method. That's STAR, the STAR method. Sometimes I use CAR, and I'm going to be telling you why I use CAR. Sometimes because a lot of people, please don't go to your interview cramming. And that is why interview simulation is very important. Interview simulation help you to prepare for that interview. Okay. So for this session, we are going to be using the STAR method. And the STAR method is simply the situation, is simply the task, is simply the action and result. So let's take it one step at a time. Are we ready? Please let me know if you are ready in the chat. Okay. So the STAR method. See the situation, just like the word situation. Situation, what is happening? Where were you working? Like where? What challenge exists during, like, at that space? You know, when you think about your tasks, you are a social media manager, you have been called, or you have been hired, not called, you have been hired, right, to work on a social media campaign. You know, the company is trying to sell a product or trying to market a product, and you're supposed to be working with a team, you know. So you have been, what was happening? What was the maybe not problem, what was the challenge that the organization was trying to solve when they brought you in? Where is that place? That's where the organization, and what was the challenge that they had, and how did they bring you in to come in to solve that? So let's start with the situation. I'm going to be giving you examples. So before I give example, I'm going to be giving example as myself, the way I'm going to answer a question, a particular question, using the STAR method. Remember, situation, which is the S, is what was happening, where you were working, what challenge existed at that point, and the task is what you are expected to do or solve. This is just what most people use to answer. Most times they leave the S, they leave the A, and they leave the R, which are also very important. Most people just answer the task. Oh, I was given this task, they said I should improve the social media followers at that point. No. So the task is what you expected to do, which is just 1 out of 4 of what you're expected to say in 1 minute or to answer the question. So the A should focus on, this is another mistake that most people make. The A in STAR method should focus on your individual contribution. Please, not the team. Even if you're going to bring in the team's contribution, remember that this is your interview. The interviewers want to understand the action that you took into making that impact, or into solving that challenge that you already claimed existed. So the action part should focus on how you as an individual working on the team actually contributed to solving that challenge that existed. And the last one, which is the result. The result is very important. Include measurable results, include data. You want to talk about the impact, add data to it, add results that people can measure. Something you can say, okay, this following were 0 before, it's moved to 1,000. I'm going to be using my own example. And very important that some people skip, which you are not supposed to also skip from that result, is the lesson that you learn so for example, as a community manager. So let me give you an example. I have my career path in community management, and I'm being asked, tell me about a time you improve community engagement. Do you understand the question now? Tell me about a time that you improved community engagement. Now, Omotola is supposed to answer. Remember, so I'm going to answer, then I will come back and show you how I use X, how I use S, how I use T, how I use A, and how I use R. So tell me about a time you improved community engagement. Thank you for that question. So when I joined the community team I'm going to mention the company XYZ. So for the sake of this session, so when I joined the community team as XYZ, engagement in our Slack workspace has significantly dropped. My goal was to re-energize discussion and increase active participation among the community members. To introduce, so I introduced weekly discussion prompts. I spotlighted community members' achievements, and I organized monthly virtual meetup to create more opportunities for interaction. And within 3 months, active participation increased by 40%, and the number of weekly discussion actually doubled. So from this answer that I've given, let's try to figure it out one after the other. You remember? So if I want to like show the lesson, and this, this also made me realize that community is actually very big. Community, the foundation of community is actually people. And to ensure that community engagement continue to evolve, it is important to build with people, to build with them, to improve all this collaboration. So what I'm trying to say is, from these answer that I've given, my situation was when I joined community XYZ. The challenge they were facing was that the engagement in their community has dropped. The task that I was given was so I did not say it as my task was, I said my goal was to re-energize discussion and to increase active participation. So you are going to think about that, your role. Those are the things I want you to be taking notes down. And those are the things that when you are doing any interview simulation, before you go for that interview, you should have, this kind of questions, depending on your own career path, you should have, like, you already know what your tasks are in your own, career path, or the career path that you're looking for. You can even tell like any AI to like draft top 5 questions that you might ask in your role, then you answer based on your previous experience. And if you don't have any previous experience in that role, you can talk about the skills that you have gained in the past, transferable skills. It can be from your past work, it can be from your past learning. You have taken that course online, you have just finished school, you learned community engagement in school, so you can turn all those experience, what you have learned, the lesson you have learned, into, you will now form a situation, you will form a task, you will form action and results. So in my own case, from the answer I just gave, so my goal was to re-energize discussion, right, and increase active and participation among the members. So that was the task I was given. So I set it as my personal goal. So how did I, not just about the task that was given, how did I actually make input into ensuring that the situation and the challenge was solved? So I introduced weekly discussion prompts. I spotlighted community members. So look at how I was highlighting the actions that I took. I was highlighting those actions. And from the answers that I gave, I think I gave like 1 to weekly discussion prompt, spotlighted community members' achievements, organized weekly, and created more opportunities too. So I created 4 to 5 action items. So they know they are looking for, maybe the role said they are looking for someone to re-engage the community members. They are looking for someone who can make interactions and turn new members to becoming, not just to retain new members. So members are not just coming into the community, they are engaging and they are, staying back in the community. I've answered my actions the action that I use for the answer that I gave. I've actually identified that Omotola has the skills that they are looking for. So when we talk about results, because I mentioned earlier that results is the R in the star. So I mentioned that it is very important for you to state results that is measurable. Result that at the end of, after a period, like you state the period, what were you able to achieve? What was there before? What has improved? And that is why, like, I responded by saying within 3 months, achieve active participation increased by 40%. So I was telling some people a few weeks ago, I said, even if, I think I gave the illustration. So I love to give illustration whenever I'm explaining something. And the illustration that I gave was, if your role was to sweep this room, that a room where you are currently staying, imagine where you're staying now. So you have been given a role to ensure that the space is always clean. So they've given you the task that this is the room you are supervising. This room has to be clean. That is your task. So they've given you everything that you need to ensure that the room is clean. So you now on your own now thought of it, that so you understand the situation, the task, you understand, I've explained with the room. So now the action that you took, you ensure that you wake up very early in the morning, you sweep, you mop, then around 12 or 1 after lunch, you do the same routine again. Then in the evening, around 6 or 5 when you close work, you do that routine again. So you also thought about it, that it is not just me doing this routine of cleaning and mopping, but also can I put a waste bin very close to this corner, so that when people maybe eat or they want to throw away any paper, they don't just dump it on the floor, but they can also keep it there. So you also thought about, okay, let me take room freshener and put it at intervals. Oh, let me turn on the heater or the AC as the case may be, just to ensure that anybody coming to the room can feel welcome, can feel at home, and can stay longer. So everything, every action that I have explained so far is actually your own impact. So now let's talk about results, which is very important. Then within 1 week, no, let me say within 3 weeks, within 3 weeks or 4 weeks, let's use 4 weeks, that's a month. So within 4 weeks, the rate at which people the attendance of people that comes to use to the room, let's say the room is an office space, has increased by 40%. So maybe before, only 5% in a month used to like come to use the room. But because of all these measures, all these actions that you have put in to solve that challenge that they were facing before, you have like an increment of 40% of persons that were coming into the room. And you also have people talking about, oh, this place is so clean. Oh, this place feels at home. Oh, this place smells so good. So all those compliments as well. Maybe you'll now have a survey that you give them and say, oh, can you please tell me how you feel this place has improved, how you think my own impact has improved this room. So what I'm just trying to explain, I gave that analogy so that you can know that in any situation you find yourself, you can actually use the STAR method to explain your impact. So maybe we should start doing it now. Maybe we should stop waiting for when next we have interview before we are able to, excuse me. So before we are able to, maybe we should stop waiting till our next interview before we are able to like explain how we are making impact wherever we find ourselves, or how we intend to make impact. So I'm beginning to think about those people that probably do not have work experience yet, and they want, or they are trying to switch role, and they're also looking at attending their interview. So even if you are a student, those skills that you are gaining, that thing that you are learning, how can you form a STAR method answering format from that role? I just gave like the minimal illustration of a STAR method using giving a room to like take care of. I hope we understand. Please let me know if you understand or you have gained anything from any things I've said so far. Are we following? Let me check the comments. Please let me know. Okay, so using the STAR method in your interview will make you not just to, you are not just going to be talking, because as someone like Omotola who talks a lot, I just want to explain everything I've done in the past, the kind of challenge, the kind of action I took. I just want to explain. But if you are able to like calm yourself down and give your answer using situation, the task, the action you took, just think about it. It's you are not lying. It's what you have done, or it's what you have learned. It's the skills that you have. You see where that confidence is actually interrupting you, like that confidence is actually showing, because it is you have done it. And I used to tell people that don't imagine that thing that you are doing is actually very small. It is not small. I was on this role as a volunteer years ago, and trust me, as little as just engaging within the community, I'm going to tell you how impactful my action or me being part of the team is actually helping the organization. So stop belittling your efforts. There's a way you will explain. It is you that did it, not any other person. So don't stop belittling the impact you are making. And wherever you find yourself at any interview and you're asked to answer any question, just imagine like the other two illustrations I've given. I've given you an illustration about me being in the space of community management, and I've also given an illustration of someone that has been tasked to like clean a space, office space. So this shows that this part of this part of the interview, what I want you to like gain from this part as well is that the interviewers can also use like the way you answer question here, using this method as your behavioral to like pick anything they want to pick when it comes to the behavioral part of the interview. Because the way you answer question using this format is going to show that you can think. It's going to show how you solve the problem, and it's also going to show your real impact. So I know I've spoken to someone before and she was like, no, this star method is actually very long. And that is why I mentioned that I also use the CAR method. The CAR method is the context. You can just briefly explain the situation, then the action, what you did exactly. Remember what I said earlier, it is what you did and not I was on the team and the team was tasked to do this thing. Even if the team has been tasked to do that thing, how were you making impact? What were the action? What are the action that you took that ensured that the team was able to achieve their goal? What action did you take that ensured that the team as a whole, meets that goal that has been set? And what measurable impact did you create? So please ensure that if you don't remember the STAR method, which is just 4 words, 4 letters, ensure that you're able to use the CAR method, CAR, which is 3. So at least you'll be able to like use either the STAR method or the CAR method. Thank you for following. If you have any question now, you can be dropping it, but I'm going to move on. I've said this thing several times and I'm still going to say it. In as much as you are trying to answer, you have the confidence, you have built the confidence, you have the knowledge that, okay, I know I deserve to be in this room, my chin is up, I have the confidence, I'm going to be answering all the questions they ask using STAR method or CAR method. It is also very important for you to be as clear as possible. Even when you are being clear, you need to just understand all these things. And that is why interview simulation is very important. You can have simulation with your friends. You can have more professional simulation. Elegance Media has a simulation products that you can use, because once you are used to answering questions clearly, confidently, and you know how to position yourself very well, your interviews are not going to feel like, oh my God, what are they going to ask me? You are going to be relaxed, knowing fully well that you might not know the way they will structure. That's one thing I used to tell people. You might not know the way they will structure that question, but you know you have the answer. So you need to listen so that you get what they're asking you, and so that you are able to like answer them the way they want to know. So when they ask you a question, just take some few seconds to understand. While you are taking a few seconds to understand, look at how you have done or make impact, in your past role, and take a time to breathe in, out, then appreciate them for the question, then move on to like answer them using STAR or CAR method, but clearly ensure that, again, you need to understand your role, like your proposed role, the role they're interviewing you for. Please don't be like some person that will come to interview and be asking me, what does the organization do? I have had someone that was asking me during interview, so what do you people do? You understand? So you have to do like your own work if you have to like make inquiries on what. I don't think before you submit any application, you should know what the organization is hiring for, what they do. Maybe they are a product organization, maybe they are, any organization or NGO, you should understand what they are doing and how they are asking you to come in. So you should understand the problem they are trying to solve, because when you understand the problem they are trying to fill in for, you understand how you can position your own impact or your own skills or the skills you have had in other roles, and you will better understand how you can convert that into what the hiring manager is looking for. You'll be able to position and present yourself, present your past experience as, oh, I've done that in the past. During my role at company XYZ, I was able to. You are going to be positioning what you have done in the past the way that you think it's going to be interesting in the ears of the hiring manager or like the representative of the organization that is in your interview. And confidently, somebody asked the question. I'm also trying to look at the questions that we have gotten before. Somebody asked the question that, what if they ask you a question that you probably do not have answer for. Let me give you an example. So maybe they ask you that, have you used this tool in the past, and you have actually not used this tool. So think about another tool. Let me think about one now. Let's assume you're a designer and they're asking you if you have used Figma. Figma is actually very important, for you to collaborate with other people on the team. And what you are used to using is Canva, Photoshop, or other design tool. So, of course, you have not used Figma. Maybe you don't even have Figma on your CV, or so you are going to tell them that, oh, in as much as I've not used Figma, you quickly mention the tools that you have used in the past, how you have used them. Then you will now acknowledge that you're also open to learning new tools, and that is one of the reasons you want to work with like an organization like them, where you can also be introduced to new tools. But with the experience you have, using other tools before, you can easily incorporate, and you are a fast learner, so that they will know that you're not going to be a burden to them. You understand? You are open to like exploring. You can even tell them that you're currently taking a course on it. And yeah, so that's one trick. That's one trick you can also use. So even if you don't have the answer, think about something similar to what they've asked you, that you have probably gained so far, you have known about. So answer them that you, so don't say, oh, I don't know it, and you keep quiet. No. So you have to be very smart with your answer. Acknowledge the fact that acknowledge their question, tell them you have not used it in a way that they are asking, but this is what you have done, and you're also open to learning more, and that is why you also want to work with them, so that you're not just bringing your own experience, but also learning something new, and you're not going to be a burden. You will not say you are not going to be a burden. You're a fast learner, and you're open to collaborating with the rest of the team as well. So you have to package yourself very well. Again, confidence matter. Knowing who you are. Okay, now I don't want to preach. So knowing who you are, I can start preaching now. So like understanding what you have got, even if you are just starting out, understanding. Don't have that fear of, oh, this thing is do or die. I have to get this job. So yeah. So let me go on. So this part is also very important. This part is very important. Remember, I mentioned when we started this session that sometimes the 5 minutes of your interview determines how your interview will go and the success of your interview. So there's a way I will ask you one simple question. And I think the most question that most of us we are familiar with is, tell me about yourself. See this, tell me about yourself. You can answer this question in a way that it will answer 3, 4, 5 questions that the interviewers ask. So this is why this question, again, just like I mentioned at the beginning of our session, the first 5-10 minutes of your interview determines the success, or determines how your interview is not going to be negotiation but conversation. Please try to understand that. And what I have noted down here is for you to follow this structure. Please take note of all the structure that I'm mentioning. This is what you should know and use as a simulation for that interview. So to answer this question of tell me about yourself, please always use this structure. You're telling them about your past, your present. You start from your present. Don't start from the past. Your present, your past, and the future. So what do I mean? You tell them about who you are professionally, just the way I wanted to interview myself. I say, hi, everyone. I'm Omotayo. I'm a community project manager, a community program manager. So I'm starting from my present. I am a community. This is what you are right now. You understand? Then I will now go back to share some of my experiences that make me to become who I am now. So I can talk about, oh, I have a degree in computer science. I'm currently doing my master's in project management. I have worked as, so I will just mention some of my experiences that made me who I am, or that has prepared me for who I am now and who I am aiming to be by joining their team. Present, past, and future. Where you are professionally now, please don't talk about your family background, except it is very needed for the role you are applying for. Make it professional. Make it professional. If you think your past experience then is a bit not professional, but it's very important for your role, know how to like formulate it, but make it as professional as possible. Don't come and tell me you come from a family of five and you are the first child and you are the last child, you not go to a private school. Please keep those conversation. So tell them about what you have now. You are a senior, you are a junior designer. Then you can even talk about the skills you have learned in the past. Just pick those things. But remember the structure that I've mentioned. Who are you professionally now? There is no profession that is small. Be dropping your question. The screen is not showing. Is it my screen? The screen is not showing. Really? Can you confirm if you can see my screen? It seems to be okay on my end. Precious. Can someone else confirm? Scholastica. I can see your screen. Though I can also, I'm using a second screen here. I can also see it. So Precious. Precious is saying the screen isn't showing. It's showing on my end. So Precious, oh yeah, me. I think it's on your end. Okay. So let me move on. The screen is showing because I'm using a second screen to also confirm here. Okay. So where were we? If you're not seeing the screen. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for handling that, Blasto. I can see some questions in the chat. I'm going to go back to all the questions. So please keep dropping them. And thank you for bringing the topic of salary. Okay, so when they ask you the question, tell me about yourself, it is very important for you to like state who you are now professionally. The past experiences or the past experiences could include even your school, because you took online and all those things. Those are your experience. Don't wait till when you have 5 years experience, you have 2 years experience before you start saying, oh, I have experience. Even those learning. I remember when I started my master's, I was talking about like what I was learning when it's come my social um my course on social empowerment, social programming, management. I was talking about like mega project management. I was talking about the things I was learning in those like each of the courses. So don't wait until when you have like a real life career 5 years experience. Don't wait till then. Your volunteering experience can be what will make you. I love to say this personally. I've volunteered for almost 5 years, and it is a foundation. In fact, it was more than a foundation. It built the whole ground for what makes my career right now. So don't feel like that role that you currently have, oh no, this role is too small, because you know the founder or because it's a small role in your town. It is part of your journey, it is part of your experience. So those key experiences that prepared you, remember we are talking about tell me about yourself. You don't want to overtalk, but you want to talk smartly and intentionally. You want to talk in a way, you want to structure your answer in a way that helps you to turn your interview into conversation. So you talk about where you are professionally, present, past, future. Not past, present, future. Present, past, future. The present where you are professionally, the present where you are professionally, the past, the key experiences that you've had in the past that you know brought you to where you are now. Then why this role, the role you are interviewing for is the best. That is how you should end it to. Why this role? It is very important for your like logic next step, because they will ask you, so why are you applying for this role? Maybe you are currently working, so why are you applying for this role? So you'll be able to like tell them even just by even just by telling them more about yourself, you are able to like tell them. So you're able to like tell them by telling them more about yourself, you're able to like tell them where you are, where you are coming from and where you intend to go. Because if you don't answer all these three things, that is when they will not start asking you. So just imagine you just tell them, I'm a community manager, I'm from Nigeria, and you keep quiet. Then the next question will be, okay, so what have you done in the past? Meanwhile, you have the chance to like talk about this is who I have now. These are the key experiences, my education, how everything combines together. You can even talk about the fact, even if you are not like me that had like a tech background, you can say, oh, you actually studied microbiology, but because you see that we are in the era of tech and you just love the creative part of tech, that is why I decided to go for a career as a designer. And starting out as a designer, I've been able to learn these tools. I started with using these tools. So you talk about all those things, that the experiences that brought you here. Then you now say, currently, right now, I work full time as you mentioned, as a junior developer. I'm looking to work with a bigger team so that I can be more exposed to like tools. You mentioned those tools that we probably have not started working with, and also to bring the experiences I've learned in the past and the impact that I implement, or replicate the impact I've made in the past in a bigger organization. So you tell them what you are bringing to the table and what you also intend to get on the table. Next step. So you have not only affirmed to them that you are focused, you've affirmed to them that you are confident, and by the time you finish that interview, remember what we started with when we started this session, you have stocked something in their brain that will make them to remember you. Let me try to rush it because I think I'm taking my time too much. So, I know a lot of people used to freeze when they said, do you have any question for us? Let me pause and go back, summarize what we have learned in the past. From the moment you got that interview call, email, oh, we want you to meet with our team tomorrow, know that you deserve to have the job. You deserve to be in that space because they have received over 1,000 applications. In this world and age that we have now, there are tools that people can use to submit application. Even though if you're like me, you have filled the form by yourself, you have done everything by yourself, you have changed your CV. If you're like me, that don't use any tool. But remember that some people are using tool in this world and age now because we're in the era. People are using those things. So they've received 100 plus applications. And regardless of if they have received this 100 plus applications, they still reach out to you. Maybe they've reached out to top 10, but you are still among the top 10. So you have what it takes. They've seen something that they want from you. So that confidence of, oh, I deserve to be in that space, that is not the time to start shaking. That is the time to start to know, to chin up, to know that, yes, I deserve to be in this room. Okay, they've seen something interesting about me. Let me go and prove them that they are right for calling me to interview me. And when you enter the interview and they ask you, tell me more about yourself, you are telling them about your present professionally, about the experiences that made you to become who you are now, and about your next step, and how that role is the best logical next step. Please don't forget. And also when they ask you other things about your past experience, tools, and all those things, you are using the STAR or CAR method. The STAR method being the situation, the task, the action, and the results. Make sure that your results, make sure that your task, your action is not the team's action, but your individual action. Even if you have to talk about the team action, then talk about you as an individual, how you were able to help the team to achieve their goal. Then your results must be measurable. Then when the interview is about to end and they ask you, do you have any question for us? A lot of people will say, right now, I don't have a question. It is wrong. Do you have any question for us? And you say, right now, I don't have any question. Please don't do that. Please stop doing that. If you have been doing that, please stop doing that. Again, this is not the time to start asking questions that are not valid. Not like they are not valid, but questions that are not smart. Smart questions, as you can see on my screen, makes you stand out. So depending on your career path, this is the time that you're going to ask strategic question. You're going to make the interviewers feel like, okay, this person is actually curious to know what next. Then you're going to show them that you are ready to commit long time. So what are you going to be asking? What does success looks? So if I do this often, if you have more than one person on the team, I can ask them about their own experience on the team, especially if those interviewing you are those people you probably are going to be working with going forward. I love to work in like an organization where my voice matters, where I'm being trusted. So I want to like understand how inclusion is like on the team. So I'm going to ask them what does, like I'm going to ask them like how some people love to ask, oh, what's the growth process like on the team? That is one another very good question. So but I've listed some questions, like some common question that can fit any career path that you have, that you can ask. What does success look like in this role? This role, it is still about you, but you working on the team, the company. What does the success looks like in this role? This can also help you to understand what they are looking for better. It can also help you to understand if you eventually get the job, you will remember that, oh, they have told me that success means that we should get like 1,000 followers on our all our social presence. Oh, we should get like 10 customers. Oh, we should be able to have very engaging community. So they will answer you and you will keep those answers because that is what you are going to use to form your KPIs or set your goals when you resume. What challenges is the team trying to solve now? This will also help you to understand what the team dynamics looks like right now, and if you eventually get the job, what you are coming in to solve. Then the third question that I've listed here is, what qualities make someone thrive in the team? There are some teams that you just have to, collaborate with each other. Don't be a solo worker, be a team worker. There are some teams that, oh, if they're asking person a question and you know the answer, please solve it. They are going to tell you what can help you to thrive on your team. And it shows that you are intelligent, you are smart. And these are questions. Remember when I started and I said something around, even when I'm at this final stage and I have three candidates and I have to pick one. Sometimes I might not even go for someone that has 100% skills, but I'm going to remember someone that actually told the story well. This is part of the story. And one thing I do personally when it comes to answering questions like this is when I ask them this question and they answer me, I'll not be like, oh, that's awesome. I will not affirm. So maybe they talk about what qualities make someone thrive on the team, and they want to talk about collaboration. I'm going to talk about how I have been able to collaborate with other persons on the past team that I've worked with. Just to make them to understand, remember that I have that collaboration team that they are looking for in someone that can thrive on their team. So you don't just ask them question and keep quiet and say, oh, that's good. You have answered my question. Thank you. That's not a smart way to answer. Instead, when you ask them, please don't do like this. That's another thing. Confidence. So instead, when you ask them a question and they answer, you'll be like, oh, that's good. Previously on my past during my past role at company XYZ, I work on a team of 5 persons. And one thing that really stood out of my team is because of our collaborative skills. In fact, my team used to call me moving box of ideas. Omotola is that person that will set a meeting and say, oh, set the agenda, ensure that every point of the agenda or every segment of the agenda is being attended to, ensure that everybody communicates, ensure that everybody, I'm going to reaffirm what they have answered me. So it's not just like you are querying them, but you just want to know their own perspective, then you put your own one coin as well. So before I go to, I guess this is going to be the final one. Okay, I will not go there. So before I go there, let me pause and check the chat for questions. Let me know if you've been enjoying the session so far. What stood out for you so far? What lessons have you learned so far? What are you taking away with you so far? I can see someone said, absolutely living a memorable mark increases your chance of being higher. Thank you so much, Rema. Okay, someone said, how do you answer the question? salary expectation question. How do you answer salary expectation? Okay, so I guess what this person is trying to ask is, how do you, when they ask you what is your salary expectation? Okay, so this, you have to be confident, you have to be ready, and remember not to shoot yourself in the leg. Now let us do it. Before you go in for that interview, you should have researched maybe the application that they put out. They already stated, most application will state maybe they want to pay you per hour, will state maybe they want to pay you, maybe it's a full-time job. They will state like the range. So when they state the range, that doesn't mean they will give you like the highest one, and that doesn't mean they will give you the lower one. But if that job that you're applying for is one that it states the range, no, that means they have the lower range, they have the higher range. And sometimes, based on your negotiation skills, you are able to even negotiate that for more than what they have put out, depending on how confident you are. For jobs that also probably they did not put it out, let's talk about how you can put it. So let's start one by one. For job that they've put out the salary expectation, then they ask you, they will still ask you, what is your salary expectation. So if it is a job that they put out the range, you can don't mention the below range. In fact, don't mention the in between. Or you can also give them range, saying, let's say they give you 1 to 100, like maybe they said they are paying you $1 to $100. They will pay 1 to $100 depending on the region or your location. Then they ask you to give range. So you can, Omotola is going to say something like 75 to 95. You understand? So that is always quite easier if they put out the call. So if they now say 25 to, if I say 75 to 95, so that they will reaffirm that, oh, that's within our range. And if because of your location, they are not able to pay you up to, because sometimes location matters, they have to check there are things they check and all those things. If for your location they are not able to pay you up to what you have stated, they are going to inform you. So that will not be a reason for them to deny you. Trust me. If they put out the range, we'll talk about if the range is not there. If they put out the range, you are going to be hired. They will just negotiate. They will tell you, oh, we cannot pay you this based on this. But if there is no range and they just state, oh, this is how much we want to pay, and you feel like, oh no, I deserve more than this, so you can go slightly like 10% above what they've put out and say this is what you're looking for. If they not tell you that, oh no, that is not within what we have put out, you will not tell them that, is the team open to, you ask that, is the team open to like increasing their budget. So if they still say no, you will not ask for what other benefits is available on the role. So benefits, it depends on the location. Benefits can be of different types. So they will state like the benefit they have, and from there you can make your decision. Now, the big lion in the room, for those role that does not have the rates published. Before you go into that interview, in fact, even for the first one, to use this method, before you go for that interview, do your own quick research about the company, the company's how do we call it? The company's scale, and your role. What is the market saying about your role? What is the average salary for your role? Then also put in place, like depending on your role, how much, what is your, because I love to ask people, even when they give like a range, I love to tell people that, okay, what if we cannot do up to what you have stated, are you open to, something below what you have stated? That is why before you go for any interview, you should be able to know what your limit is. Like, I've done my research, this is how much you're supposed to pay me. If you cannot pay me up to this, I cannot go below that. So I cannot go below this. So for roles that, so when you've done your you've done your um research, you already know what the market is saying about your role in your location. And even with the average, you already know what is your limits that you can do. When you get into that interview and they ask you, what is your range? Let's assume the average range that you saw for your role in your location, let's assume is 50. So say 50 USD. This is just an assumption. No, somebody said we are not supposed to be going lower. So that means we should go higher. Okay. So let's assume that for an average, like on an average, the salary expectation, the salary for your role, your level, that's another thing, your level based on your year of experience and all in your location, let's assume it is $50,000. If it is $50,000, don't go there and say 50,000. So you say always give a range. If you give a range, that will help you not to shoot yourself in the leg, because I've also seen some applicants that shoot themselves in the leg. Now they call it leaving money on the table. Don't leave money on the table. So that is why it's always good for you to go for a range. And remember, you have done your research before you come for that interview. And when you did your research, the average is $50,000. So you are going to say $50,000 to $75,000. That is the best way to start your salary negotiation. The average that you saw online, after you have put in like your level and all those requirements, I think Glassdoor do all those things. There are sites where you can check what is the average pay for someone that has 1 year of experience as a designer living in. So you can ask it to give you the average range. Then you will now go above the average range as well. So you will not say something like, okay, I'm looking at 50,000 USD to 75,000 USD. At that point, they have two things to tell you. Okay, that is within our range. Okay, that's okay. Or they will tell you, oh, what if we are not able to pay you up to that? That is where negotiation starts. You now tell them, what is your budget? They will say, no, what if you're not able to? I have told you my budget. What is your budget? So, but remember, before you give your budget, always know what the average is in your location for that role with your level, and pick that as your minimum, then add something to it. Don't give one figure, always give a range. So they don't have any option than to give you two, than to say either of these two things. Oh, that's okay, it's within our budget. Or what if we are not able to um put up to that? If they now tell you what to, remember when I said you should look for the average and you should also have your limits. So your limits might be, if the average is 500 and your limits, or internet, you have to pay for light, you have to pay for this thing, and you know that your own limits cannot be more than, say for example, 400,000. So you can decide to probably tell them right there that you can't go beyond this price, or you can tell them that you are open for negotiation. So that means you are not still dropping money on the table. You are telling them that, tell me, even if you are not able to tell me now, tell me what you can pay me and I will think about it. But it's very tricky because a lot of people bend to that and just go for it. So you have to be very careful. Know what works for you and why you're doing it. You can also ask what other benefits is available at that point as well. I hope I'm able to answer your question. Let me know if I answer your question very well. Okay. Thank you for sharing what stood out for you so far. So the last thing I have here, this is actually my own superpower. Any interview I'm going to attend as an applicant, this is my superpower. We've talked about, tell me about yourself. We've talked about my experience. We've talked about what I'm looking for in the next role. We've talked about my impacts. I've asked them questions. I've shown them who I am. Maybe when they now said, Omotola, thank you so much. This conversation has been awesome. We've taken notes. They will explain to you what the interview process looks like. After this stage, we have you meeting with someone like this. We have you meeting with someone like this. And this third stage is going to be an assessment. Then the final stage, after they have explained all these things and they're about to wrap up, before they say goodbye, I will now chin up again. And I say, thank you so much for having me on this call. I will now summarize this thing, 3 things I have listed out under a minute. If you have not been doing this so far, please take this away from this session. Again, remember when I started, I said when hiring managers get to the point where they have to pick 1 out of 3 or out of 5, they will only remember what stood out for them. And this is your own chance to give the hiring manager something to make it stood out. So, summarize the skills that you have, but at that point, let it be relevant to their job. The skills that you have relevant to their job, affirm why you're the best person for this job, and why you're looking forward to join the team and start execution. So, like Omotola will say, thank you so much for having me. Just reaffirm again, Omotola is the best person for this job. My community, my over 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, community management experience, as I've done. Blah, blah, blah. So, I'm just going to go over it. A minute, don't make sure remember they're about to end the session, so you just reaffirm it. And I'm so much looking forward to joining the team and start. So you remember that you asked them a question about what the success looks like in the next 6 months. What is the team trying to solve? So this is your time to now say something like, I'm looking forward to joining the team so that together we can improve the retention rate and improve engagements within the community. You clock it? Yes. So you are living, but you are living with something memorable. You are leaving something memorable on the table for them to say, there was this lady we had this conversation. They will not say interview. There was this lady we had this conversation with. Oh, that when we were about to wrap up, she said some things like this, like this. That is all you need. That is all you need. There was this lady that we spoke to. There was this guy. There was this person that we spoke to. That when she was about to leave, she left something, something that at the end of the day, I remember one CEO interviewed me for a particular role. And even though I did not get the role, which I'm going to be talking about before I close, even though I did not get the role, the man said, Omotola, you're a very interesting person. And if eventually we did not go with you for this role, you should consider a sales role. And I'm like, you should, yes, you can sell really well. So that means I've sold myself. So you should be able to sell yourself. You should be able to present yourself in a way that even when you are not in the room, the person can remember you, remember your impact, remember how you can come on board. So always start smartly. If you are just joining or you've missed how I explained that in the beginning, please go back and watch this video. I explained how you can start your interview smartly, the mindset you are supposed to build before you go for that interview. When you go for that interview, the first thing you're supposed to do when your interview is going on, the structure you're supposed to follow to answer the question, the structure you're supposed to follow to interact with them to ensure that the interview changes to become conversation and not negotiation. I've talked about salary, negotiation, and I've also talked about the questions you're supposed to ask. I've talked about how to close your interview smartly. So I'm just going to look through if I have any question. I'm closing now. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Someone said, how do you compose yourself? How do you compose yourself in an interview without talking too much or talking outside the box? That is why interview simulation is very important. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself before you go for that interview. When they send you interview link and they ask you to pick a time, don't pick tomorrow when you know you are not ready. Don't speak tomorrow when you know you are not ready. Prepare for that interview. That is your chance, just like Omotola have said before. That interview is your chance for you. The interview is the chance for you to prove that you're actually the person for the job. So don't go for any interview when you are not ready. So don't go for any interview when you are not ready. Your interview is the chance for you to prove to the interviewers that you are actually the best person for the job. And when you get to that interview, because someone like me that also I intend to talk too much. So to control that, you might have physical things that you do, like probably your legs, like inching yourself and telling yourself it's okay. and also following the structure that I've explained so far, you will know when you are talking, you only talk about situation. When you are talking, you are only you control your mind, your mouth, you control everything and ensure that you're only talking about the tax. You also talk about action and the results. And when you feel like I've gone beyond what I'm supposed to, then you call yourself back and you summarize within few seconds. So I do something like when I realize that, oh, I've been speaking a lot and I might lose them. I do something like, so what I'm trying to say in summary is, then just drop one sentence or two. Then that is all. I hope I answered your question. So control yourself, have your own coping mechanism. It might be I used to have a stress ball that sometimes I just try to use to control myself. Then in my own brain as well, my brain helped me because I try to follow the structure that I have. Please don't read. Some people used to read. If you're not very smart and you've written your answers down, it will be obvious. I've interviewed some people and they're just reading. It will be obvious. That is why I started with the fact that you should know that you have answers to all the questions. The mindset alone is 50% of what you need. The mindset that I deserve this job. They have called me because they have seen something. I have all the answers they need. So the only thing is for me to structure it well. And you follow all the structures I've shared so far. And please do interview simulations before your interview. You can do it with your friends. I do it a lot. If you have a mentor, you can do it with your mentors. They will ask you questions. They will not do like your friend. They will not do like your mentors. They are going to see the way you answer. You are going to practice. That's what I mean by interview simulation. And if you need a more professional interview simulation, okay, I still have something to talk about. Um, okay, so I think I'm already doing the recap. Okay, so let me just go through what happened if they insist that you should name a figure. Always give a scenario. If they are not ready to tell you their budget, then you give them a range. They are not ready. You ask them what the budget is. I sometimes don't tell people the budget. I'm going to say, tell me what your expectation is, then I'm going to give you a range. And I've explained how you can calculate the range, the best way to calculate the range. You cannot shut yourself that way. Always go for range. So I hope I answered that question. That is real scenario, I understand, but you will be safe if you use the range, especially if you follow the method that I shared earlier. This is a bit tricky. It helps, but it's a bit tricky, but it helps a lot. So I also always mention that even if you go for interview and you don't get the job, if you prepare very well for an interview and you don't get the job, you will leave the interview becoming a better version of yourself. There's a way I got to when I was applying for jobs like a few months ago, back to back. I got to a stage where it was easy for me to apply for the next job without having to sit down to structure my answers because like I was so used to answering myself. I was so used to answering questions. So see it as preparation for that job, that your dream job itself. So every interview that you attend is a preparation for that dream job or that yes that you are planning towards. I hope that helps as well. Yes, just to structure the conversation, not a newsletter, please. If you have a doc and you are reading, it's only going to spoil your interview. This is also very important. Let's talk about this so that we can wrap up. This master class is master classing because we've spent almost 2 hours. But I'm going to wrap up now. So, what happens after the interviews matter? It matters a lot. I do this, I never skip this, I never skip wrapping up my interview, starting my interview well, following the structure that I've shared like practical steps, what I use, and also what I expect from people that I've interviewed in the past. After your interview, the email trend of the person that interviewed you, please send a follow-up message. I've given an example here. Hi, XYZ. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you today. I really enjoy learning about the team goals for this role. Our conversation strengthened my interest in contributing my expertise in. So you mentioned your expertise. So I can say community engagement, community this and that to achieve those goals. Always send an affirmation. This is, I call it affirmation. Always send a short follow-up message, and this message shows that you're actually looking forward to like working with them. You pay good attention to details, especially when they were explaining what the team goals for the role is. So that means you were paying attention. And this small matter is not small, even though I call it small actions, it actually leave big impression. Remember what I said earlier about if they had turned between three persons and they need to pick one person, there is something that always stand out for them. Um, okay. So there's always something that, so this is a very good action that you should, if you have not been doing that so far, this is something you should always follow. So let's do a quick recap. If you want to improve your interview success, start with these three actions. Prepare your career story clearly. It is your story, just like I've said, it is your story, not anybody's story. It has to make sense to you before it can make sense to another person. It has to make sense to you before it can make sense to another person. Can you confirm you can still hear me? Can you confirm you can still hear me? Okay, I think yes. All right. So it is your story. Say your story. Put your story in a way that other people will understand as well. Practice your answer. Practice your answers very well. Practice your answer, have interview simulation, and let people give you feedback. Your friends can do it, your mentors can do it, and you can also seek a professional help, people that have gone through that path before, people that are hiring. And always remember, you don't have to be perfect. That doesn't mean even after the preparation you are not, but the confidence level will increase. And you being there, you have to show up as if yes, you are the solution, because you are of course the solution. That's why they called you for interview. And that being said, we are going to be dropping the link in the chat. We have this conversation going on, like even after this session, we are going to be having conversations like this around. We used to have conversations like this in the community where we talk about interview preparation. You ask questions, you get like fast answers from other community members, questions about conversations around career clarity. If you don't know what the next step in your career is, or you don't know what to do next, you're just confused, you can also join the community to like get you know accountability partner, and also experts, collaboration, opportunities. If you see opportunities as well, will drop in the community, and we can share strategies with you to ensure that um you scale your career. I'm going to drop that in the chat. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. Just fill the form and you will hear back from the team in few days. So that's the link to join the community. I just drop it now. Please fill the form. I hope that link is clickable. If it's not clickable, you can check the description of this video. You are going to see it in the description. And just like I've mentioned so far, I've mentioned you doing interview preparation for yourself, do interview preparation. It is very important, because you can't just cram and go to your interview to just drop it. And the way the ecosystem is right now, the job market now is not funny. You have applied, a lot of people have applied, and luckily you have been called for interview, so you deserve to prepare for your interview. So you can get a one-on-one interview simulation with us. We tailor your interview simulation to your career. We have experts in your field that is going to join the session to ask you very technical questions depending on your career path. And we're also going to be giving you feedback right there. Oh, you answered this question this way, you could have done it this way, then you do it again. So we also have career clarity session. You can have a one-on-one session just to talk about your career, just to have someone listen to you, just to have someone to guide you, just to have someone to share their own experience with you and let you know you can do it by holding your hand, so you are not alone. Get our one-on-one session. I'm also going to drop the link in the chat, but as well, you can get the link, as I've mentioned before, you can get the link in the description of this video. So you can get a one-on-one session with us. When you get the products, we're going to send you an email, and we're going to send you an email, and from there, we can take it up from there. Okay, I know I've been answering all the questions we have in the chat, but for the final time, I'm just going to look through if I have any questions that I have not taken. I think I have taken all the question. Is this the Slack community or another? Yes, it is the Slack community. It is a Slack community. If you are there already, let's keep the engagements going. Thank you so much for being part of the community. Thank you so much for joining the session. I cannot see any other question here, but if you are watching this video later and you have any question, you can just drop it in the chat. Please, for those that are online now, please subscribe to the Elegance Media YouTube channel. That is where our coming sessions are going to be happening. Please ensure to subscribe. The link is in the description of this video as well. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. And with that, okay, thank you so much for joining, everyone. And to wrap up this session, I want to appreciate everyone on the Elegance Media team that has been putting so much effort into ensuring that this session really hold. Thank you so much for your efforts. Thank you so much for your contribution. And this is just to like reaffirm everything I've said before. I know the job market right now, it's not easy. I know you have submitted lots of applications, but please don't stop. Please don't give up on yourself. You just need one yes. You will get one yes, and you will forget all the days that you wake up very early to apply. And also to encourage you that when you're about to submit the application, please give it your all. Remember, you are not the only one that is qualified. You are not the only one that is submitting an application. So you want to calm down and answer each question rightly. Review your CV, build a digital presence. We also have like programs on, ensuring that you have a good digital presence, especially in this world of AI that we have. It's very important for you to show that it is not just AI reviewing your CV for you. You are actually making that impact. So when you want to submit any application, give it your intention, give it your attention, submit that in application. And for everyone that has submitted a lot of application, they have not gotten feedback yet, or they have not landed a job yet, I speak into your life, I speak into your career, that God will do it in Jesus' name. And before I start praying, and don't worry, that big yes is going to come. That big yes is going to come. That big yes is going to come. And it is already on its way. So you have to start speaking it. You have to start living it. Consume positive information alone. Yes, I know the ecosystem is not easy. And that is why sessions like this prepare you so that when you have that interview that is going to part you into getting that your dream job, you don't just lose that opportunity, because you getting that interview, just like I said at the beginning of this session, already proves that you deserve to be in that room. So it is very important for you to prepare. Get our one-on-one interview simulation, career session, and career clarity session, and let us hold your hands while you work on this journey. Please note that you are not alone, and see you on the other side, and see you in our next. Please, before you go, ensure to like this video so the YouTube algorithm will. I'm speaking like my pastor. Ensure you like this video so that the YouTube algorithm will share it with more folks, and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not. My YouTube channel and also the Elegance Media YouTube channel, so you can see our next session is going to be on the Elegance Media side. Yes, on this channel we share things about career, faith, and so all that. And that's why I keep praying so that you keep saying amen, amen, amen. All right. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, this afternoon, wherever you're joining this from. Thank you so much. And please do enjoy the rest of your evening and have a wonderful weekend. Bye, everyone. Bye bye.